Just want to give this just a few seconds to reach all the different places connected to on the internet. We'll get a notification here now. It looks like it is there. Welcome everybody back to episode 8 of season 6 of the Level Up Your Wealth podcast, where we talk about the gaming industry from a business perspective. I'm one of your hosts. I'm actually, I have to take a step back here. We used to have 2 hosts on the show. Okay. Mario Payne was and is a co-host of the show. He's a certified financial planner. His business is doing so well, he actually has to take time in the evenings, this regular weekly scheduled time, to do sessions with clients. So he's not here today, but I'm your other host.
But that's good.
Good problem to have. I'm your other host, Marcus Howard. I'm joined by Carlos. Carlos, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me.
We're going to jump right into the conversation. Awesome conversation, important conversation about unions, layoffs, workers' rights. Before we get into all that, those are some heavy topics. We're going to start off with a quick game of rock, paper, scissors. So I'm going to share my screen. We will see first to 5. Let's see, share my screen.
I never played this indie game, so I'm just watching. I'm like loving it.
Yeah, it's like, Pokemon, but rock, paper, scissors. So all you do is just select. Oh, I'm supposed to share my screen. People can't see it. Just a second. Oh, they can. All right. So, Carlos, if you try not to screen sheet, that would be awesome. Just pick your card.
You know what? I'm gonna hear you, but I'll do that. I'm just gonna focus on my game. I got you.
Focus on your game. You're in the zone, right? Heart of the cards. You got to focus.
Oh my God! You called it Yu-Gi-Oh.
I did.
We're already starting with a good vibe. If you're calling Yu-Gi-Oh,
off to a great start. Yeah. So just pick one of 3, and then it's gonna be win, lose, or draw. So you won the first one. We tied for the second one, and depending on how long this match lasts, at the top and the bottom of the screen, it actually shows a history of your selections and my selections. There's supposed to be like an Art of War type book for rock, paper, scissors. I'm not going to ever be good enough at this game to ever get any benefit from that. But for those of you who are interested, there's like a strategy. Got my first point. All right. See if I can do some pattern matching here. All right. Match point. One more.
Oh, dang.
Staying alive. Here we go. What do we got? There we go. So first to 5. It happens. No problem.
And I swear to everybody watching, I wasn't cheating. I was literally focused on like pattern recognition.
It's all right. So if you're tuning in live, thank you for supporting the show. I know I've been gone for a few weeks, actually a couple months. It's been a crazy couple of months, but hopefully back to weekly episodes. Let us know where you're tuning in from. We'd love to give you a shout out, bring your name up on the screen. This is an opportunity for a conversation, right? We want to know from you what your thoughts are, agree, disagree, or otherwise, right? We want it to be a respectful, tactful conversation, but we're gonna be candid. We need to understand, like, how do we fix this industry? So Carlos, just to go a few steps back, earlier this week, you shared a post on LinkedIn that went viral.
I didn't expect it to go viral. Let me be very clear. I didn't expect that.
It went viral. Actually, I think I could share that. Let me see if I can share my screen.
I expected just my friends from EA to share it. I didn't expect it to go to people that were writing essays about the game industry and reaching out. Like it caught me off guard because I apologize if my speech is a little off. English is not my first language, and I was also awake until 5 a.m. because people really wanted to connect with me. And I'm the type of person that if you try to connect with me and you're respectful, I'm always going to say yes. Like, oh, yeah, let's talk. Like, dude, I got your back. Let's talk. And next thing I know, it was like 5 a.m.
Yeah, a lot of conversations. And that underscores how important this conversation is. So for anyone who may have missed it, and I didn't even see this past week or however recently this was, EA recently laid off 670 developers. And it seems at the same time paid their top executives $60 million in the last financial year. So it's a trend, right? We see Microsoft, record profits, massive layoffs. This has happened again and again and again in the space. What are your thoughts, Carlos? What you shared some here, but if you could summarize some thoughts to just kick the conversation off.
My main thought, as a developer, as somebody that has seen the best and worst in the game industry, most of the time I experience the worst. It needs to change because we're human. A lot of us are tired. A lot of us have families, have kids. We want to pay our homes. We want to pay our rent. We want to pay our car. We want to make sure our kids go to college. And working in the game industry doesn't allow you to even have a family anymore. I want people to understand that I have a partner that works in games and we can't have a kid because there can be any moment that either she or me can be laid off at the same time. Add to that, a lot of us, some of us, like I'm neurodivergent, I'm autistic, and I also have a neurological disorder. So I need to have my health insurance. That's an extra layer that a lot of us depend on. And if there's no job security, we die. Like no medication, no food, no shelter. So why should I waste my time in the game industry? Unless we say, hey man, enough is enough. Like you had your fun, but it stops here.
Yeah. Yeah. People, yourself included, pour their blood, sweat, and tears into the industry. It's work of passion, right? It's more than a hobby. It's just people who grew up playing video games. A lot of people who do that, myself included. That was one of my dreams, was to work in the industry. And so it's challenging to see that in this space where so many amazing games are being made, records are being broken, new experiences being created. I think in the last 2 years, north of 30,000 people laid off in the space.
And it keeps growing.
Yeah. And for those who aren't laid off, we're lucky enough not to be laid off. You still got to deal with crunch, right? So many other things that make for unhealthy work environments.
Well, not only that, but you also got to remember that management expects employees to not only do their job, but also do the job that your coworker that got laid off was doing. So not only are you crunching, you're doing double, triple the work for the same pay without any pay increase. That's not fair.
Yeah. I talked to somebody who works for a studio I'm not going to name, and there was recent layoffs in his department. And so he was saying, I was trying to get 10 or 15 minutes to meet with him, and he said that he didn't have the bandwidth because there was a layoffs, but the workload stays the same. So, feeling like it's underwater, trying to keep up.
Also, if you want to crack a joke or two, I'm going to try to do it because it's a very heavy topic for real. And it gets really dark and really depressing real fast. And I discovered that, making fun, jokes, sometimes cursing makes it more human. And that's something that a lot of people, I think a lot of gamers, a lot of people that enjoy games don't understand the human cost of making games. And if I have a mission is for people to realize we're human, dude, and just talk to me because you might message me and I might not know your background, your tone, your purpose, but if you're talking to me, I'm seeing you, I'm hearing you, well, we're in another level. And like then I can hopefully educate with the knowledge that I have, because at the end of the day, I'm not like a civil rights lawyer. I'm just a dumb dude that read Noam Chomsky, and I was like, oh man, that dude is picking, truth to power. I like him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when I talk to other developers, especially like GDC, they're like, oh yeah, I thought about the same thing. I'm like, right? And it's so basic because when you go to GDC, everybody's like, I just want healthcare. I don't want to be laid off, and I just want to be able to pay rent.
It's basic.
Such a basic thing.
Yeah, I want to have job security, and I want to be able to provide for my family. You're right. I think it's a little tricky in the entire life cycle of a game, because there are some roles that aren't needed 24/7, right?
That's
So
right.
like
That's right.
voice acting is a perfect example, right? You probably want the game to be nearly done or some milestone complete before you invest
At
in that.
least through major development, major production. So not
Right,
pre-production, because that's all, during production you have them. Post production, if you have that, then might not be needed. It might not.
right. So how do you think we account for that, right? There's this variability. I have to respect that game studios are businesses as well, and it doesn't make sense logistically to have someone who is a fractional asset
Mhm.
on payroll 24/7 for what might be 3 to 5 years building a game.
Yeah, but we're not talking 3 or 4 years. We're talking people that get hired in less than 6 months.
Mm,
We got people that got hired at EA 6 months ago that just got laid off. We're not talking about what we grew up in the game industry. This used to be the trend, and that's why I joined it, because when I saw, okay, I might be laid off in 1 or 2 years because my role is over during the development. I understand that, and then I can look for another job. 1 or 2 years gives me time to prepare economically so I can move to my next role. I'm not getting
yeah,
that time. Like,
yeah,
I'm broke as hell, dude. Like, and I done interviews with AAA companies post layoff. I'm gonna hire you. I'm like, let's do this. The next day, you know what? I know you're disabled, but I'm not gonna give you remote to work. You gotta go to such and such state, and you gotta pay for the move. I'm
yeah,
like, brother, I've been interviewing for you for almost 2 months, because that's another thing. The interview process takes forever. It
mm,
takes months, so they can hire you a lot of times,
yeah,
because interviews are vibe based. A lot of times it's not what you know, it's who you know and how
yeah,
you express
sure,
yourself.
yeah.
So in that aspect, it's completely understandable, but we're going beyond that.
No, I agree. I remember a story, a lady who had relocated from Canada to New York, to the US. So wherever she was in Canada to New York. And then I think she
Is
had
that
just she just survived, or not survived, but she had experienced a previous layoff. And so I think right after she'd gotten there, within 12 months, there was a layoff. And I agree with you. I feel like there just needs to be better planning. And I don't know how, if an Excel sheet or something AI related is going to fix something like that, but you should be able to guarantee, reasonably guarantee, like 6 to 12 months or 24 months in some cases, if you can, to say, like, we have these resources that should cover a certain number of people for a specific amount of time. Beyond that threshold, there are no guarantees. So at least if you accept the job, you know what you're getting into. You don't
yeah,
relocate and then lose everything.
because that's ethical capitalism. That's a point, because you're literally reaching out across the aisle and being truthful. But sadly, we don't practice that in the United States. At one point, we did in the 50s and the 60s, but ever since the Nixon era, we have seen the laws that protect workers being eroded and destroyed. Like, if you tell me I'm not gonna have a job in 2 years, like I said, I can prepare myself.
Mhm.
But we're in mid-production. The game is in mid-production. You cancel the game because you wanted the stocks to be higher before your shareholders meeting, so that way you can have a bonus, and with that bonus you can do stock buybacks. Like, it's a scam. No, people talk about pyramid schemes.
Mhm.
like I got no explanation, because when you approve a game or a project, the budget is there. It's all
Right.
there. But all of the sudden, somebody goes, we can make more money if we cancel this. And here's the thing, the reality is that they're not going to make more money. They're going to literally, it's a self inflicted wound to the company. But that's not the vision, because the people that we have at the top, like I said in that message, do not know how the sausage is made. They don't know it. Like,
Yeah.
a lot of the times, very few people on the top of the ladder actually know how all this works. because a lot of those people are venture capitalists, are people that come from other companies. It's literally like Steve Jobs hiring somebody from Pepsi. You know what I mean? Like, dude, it's computers. Why are you hiring somebody from Pepsi?
Mm.
And the worst thing is that a lot of those people, because everybody is looking out for themselves, and that's the reality of corporate America. As long as I get mine, I don't care about you.
Do you think that the uptick in indie studios might solve that, right? Especially if you have people who are, I know some studios that are founded by people who were laid off at Riot Games and
Mhm.
other major studios. Is that the solution or part of the solution? Is that we lean
That's
more into the indie
part of the
ecosystem?
solution. Part of the solution. That's not a complete solution, because what people need to realize is that doing an indie game costs thousands of dollars, and it can something like Cuphead, hundreds of thousands, and that's an indie game. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Like, a lot of us don't have that budget. Can you imagine me going to Chase Bank of America and be like, "Yo, homie, I got this great game. It's about a unicorn, but stick with me, and bomb is rainbow." I think it's a great idea. So the person in front of me is something like, get out of here. Like, you
Get
know
out
what
of
I
here. Get out of
mean?
here. I'm calling security.
Yeah,
All right.
but I got more than 10 years of experience in the industry.
Yeah.
You got no capital. You got nothing to front for that investment.
Right.
Am I gonna mortgage my house for an indie game that might succeed or not? It might not succeed.
Yeah.
A lot of people that form indie studios are people that are not technically at the top, like in the boards, but they're definitely high enough where they already have a reputation and they can get investors in. Um, my full name, Carlos Joel Nieves y Rivera, is making a game. Nobody knows me. I'm just a worker drill. But somebody says Tim Schafer, Cliffy B, all of a
Cliffy B.
sudden
Yeah.
money comes out of nowhere. Out of nowhere.
Nowhere.
It might
Yeah.
even come from like the Saudis or something, or China. That you know what I mean? That's absurd, because again, like when money flows, all of a sudden you're like, is money even a real thing if it's like that?
Yeah.
And that's why I tell people it's not that easy. I've seen some of the best games in my life have never been published, and they can be published because it would be too much and it will bankrupt the person or the team that did it. And I understand that completely. And again, when you go indie in the United States, depending on the states, and most states, this is a big problem. You cannot negotiate directly with a healthcare provider. You cannot negotiate directly with, let's say, what's it called? The company that is currently being investigated, that Luigi killed the CEO. Forgot the name of that
Oh,
movie.
the healthcare company.
Yeah, that healthcare company.
I
So by
forget.
the
Yeah, yeah,
so today I learned, by the way, that they're being investigated for medical fraud. So
yeah.
I can't go there and say, "Hey, I got money. I want the best health insurance. I'm disabled. Give me the best." Oh, I gotta go through a third party. The third party needs to negotiate, and all of a sudden, okay, I got you $600 a month. I'm like, but why? Oh, because it's just you and two other teammates.
Mm.
Studios get a big discount in health in all of this because it's a batch. It's like we're
It's
not talking one,
volume.
two, we're talking
Volume discount.
hundreds, sometimes
Yeah.
thousands of
Yeah.
people. And that for me is that for me has been specifically the biggest struggling point that I have, because I'm a firm believer that the game, there's a lot of racism, there's a lot of misogyny, there's a lot of bad things in the game industry, and we all know it, and we cannot deny it. And I'm a big believer of what my mom told me, a very educated lady. People are going to deny you to get into the door. It's your job to create your own door, because
Mm.
you cannot depend on them. You cannot depend on those people that don't know your struggle or don't have empathy for you. That's a big thing. And I want to
It's
build
real.
my door, but every single option that I gotta sacrifice so much that I'm risking my health or my life.
Yeah.
It's getting to the point that I'm not gonna say names, but I had somebody that reached out and told me, "Hey, man, I'm looking for a part time," and that that made me cry at night because I know the person. They got a family. I don't even want to cry because I don't have kids. I would love to have kids. A developer that's been in the industry for more than 10 years, that's way better of a producer than I am. Like somebody that I know that has their stuff figured out. I gotta look for other avenues of income. I
Yeah,
got no
that's
words
heavy.
for them, man. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, do you think this is something that we'll see discussed at like a Games Beat Summit, right? You know, there's supposed to be the meeting of the minds and top
Yeah.
brass and the thought leaders in the space. And I don't mean supposed to, because it is the meeting of the top thought leaders and top brass. Um, I feel like this is something that is too taboo to discuss because it means
Mhm.
pointing fingers at the speakers, some of the speakers, not all the speakers, but some of them.
When I first came to the United States in 2017, after Hurricane Maria hit Puerto Rico, I was struggling a lot because I didn't have anybody to help me. And I saw this quote and I didn't know this quote. Americans would never see themselves as the working class or as the class that is struggling. They're just temporary millionaires. And that quote hit hard and made me realize that a lot of people don't see themselves or don't want to see themselves as struggling because is if they see themselves, oh, I'm struggling, it's my fault, it's my responsibility, I'm a failure. And that's a big thing of American society, of North American society. It's a horrible thing.
Yeah.
And like, listen, I've been on food stamp. I gotten a bunch of help through the government. And every time that I do it, I'm like, I gotta survive. That's why I pay taxes. That's why I pay Social Security. But you can't imagine the amount of people that I have, a little bit anecdotally that feel shame for doing that. And that's a big thing. I told my brother, no, 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 no. We're in the same. And when you go to those big conferences, those big places, even the creator heads sometimes are closer to being homeless than being a millionaire. But they
Mm-hmm.
don't see it like that. They don't see it like that because, they're trying to protect themselves, they're trying to protect their families, their investment, their own, and they're making a judgment call. I'm going to be dead serious with this. Everybody knows we need unions. You don't think that behind closed doors, everybody has said, no, this needs to happen? They put a mask, autism dialogue right there. They put a mask when they're there. You know how many times I talk to people in front of a camera, AAA developers, that I throw that question just to shake them, and automatically their reaction is so visceral, not because they're disgusted about the question, it's because, oh no, this question can actually hurt my career.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
the only way that those talks are going to happen is if people demand it. If people say, we need to talk about this, yeah, it's going to happen. It's already happening. Last GDC, we had GDC 2023 and 2000 and no 2024 and 2025. We had the first union talks. The first
Mm-hmm.
union talks. I remember asking um, in a panel when I was finally getting into the game industry in 2013 about unions, and I was laughed at, and I felt really uncomfortable because it was an honest God to question. It's like, okay, what about this? Because I noticed this a lot, and things are not improving. So if they're not improving, we need to have safety nets for ourselves. And the reaction that I got said, man, you're crazy. Get out of the industry. You shouldn't be here. And I'm
Yeah.
like, is it so crazy to say that I want the best for the dude that's next to me? That's just basic empathy, brother. I'm
Yeah.
not a genius. I'm not the brightest mind, dude. And but I care. I care about my fellow employees. I care about people. I'm human, you know? Like I don't know how else to explain it to people, the reality of the situation, because I just want to shake them. And a lot of the times it's not even the corporations, it's us doing it to ourselves. A lot of the times it's us tripping us tripping the other, either because you don't believe in that specific method, you don't believe in the ideology, or like it happened last night. I met somebody that was really opposed to what I was saying, and when I heard that story, it's because the person wanted to climb the ladder, and he told me, "No, I'm going to climb the ladder, and I'm gonna be the one that you want to talk with." And one of the things that I told him is like, you can be laid off at any moment, and the next company you gotta start from zero. There's no reassurance. That's never gonna happen to me. That was the answer, and
Yeah.
I was taken aback. I was really taken aback because like, well, this young dude, he's moving up the ranks. I'm trying to push him, trying to say a couple of things that might encourage him or might entice him to look into it. But he's completely opposed, and that's where the quote of being shame millionaires, it
Mhm.
comes to. He doesn't visualize himself as a worker. He's not management, and he's already thinking, I'm there. And that happens a lot because the main thing that affects all of this is education. A lot of us come from STEM. A lot of us come from math, art school, but we have forgotten to teach history, American history, the dirty history, the history that nobody wants to talk about, the history of Black Wall Street, for example, or the history of the Pinkerton, the history of the cops chasing slaves and slave catcher.
Yeah.
I was my girlfriend. I think she's a genius. I think she's a genius. I think she's amazing. When we were watching Watchmen, the TV series for HBO that starts with Black Wall Street, she was, oh my God, this is so strong. And I'm like, I know, right? Because this happened. And she looks at me, it's like, what? And I froze because I was taught in Puerto Rico what Black Wall Street was. You're in America. How don't you know about this?
Yeah. It's pretty crazy how selective history can be
Hmm.
when it's taught. You're right. We've got some great comments coming in from some folks in chat, and I apologize in advance.
Like,
Some of these names it's not showing me, so I appreciate you joining the conversation. I would say thank you directly, but it just says LinkedIn user. But somebody really agreed with you about Steve Jobs. Appreciate you knowing your history about what Steve did.
love that. Like, yes, I met so many new people entering to the industry that don't know about that.
Yeah, some other folks
Yep.
understand, the middlemen and the healthcare industry. And then Kevin's been definitely showing up here. Thanks for joining us, Kevin. He's saying, never judge, and he disagrees with you slightly. He says that when you start over, you don't start from zero. You do retain your experience. So I agree with him. You have your experience, but you may, as a professional within that organization,
Mhm.
you may have to start from scratch. It's a new work environment. It's a new company. It's a new corporate ladder. So it can be like having to reestablish yourself.
I got a question for you. What's the number one thing that's more important during game development? It's not right or wrong, by the way. This is what I think is the most important. Did you got an idea? Can you give me a
Project management.
and how we say it? Learn how to learn to work with others.
Yeah.
Working with others takes a lot of time. The onboarding process is not months, it could be up to years. because games take up to years. You get accustomed to a tool set, you get accustomed to a pipeline, you get accustomed to teammates, you get accustomed to management. And when they rip that out, you start from zero. Yeah, you might have your skills. I might be a great dope artist. But in the professional world, to a certain point, that's the least of your worries. Especially also because we're not a meritocracy. That's how you say it in English?
Meritocracy. Yeah.
Meritocracy. Yeah, we're not. We're not. We like the best person doesn't get hired. That's a lie. Like I seen people that
Totally a lie.
again, I had I competed for a role that I got years past, and I got it over a friend that was also going for it. And I was legit shocked because I didn't think I was gonna get it. And the homie's like, "Oh, we buy for like you made us laugh, it was cool." And it blew my mind. That like I didn't know how to react to it. I was like, "Thank you," but it was a big waking call for me.
Yeah. Kevin's also saying that the person you're referring to says that he's not management. He's thinking he's an executive. So,
Oh,
uh,
thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes, you're
yeah,
right. That's
yeah,
the word that apologies for my English. He's completely right. Executive.
yeah,
Correct.
yeah. You could be an executive and not be a manager.
Correct.
And then he appreciates all the gems and the insights you're sharing. Again, we need to see more of these conversations. And
Oh
I
man.
I made the statement about GamesBeat earlier, but I do know that there are folks like Amir Satbat who's hosting a panel on ageism and how to address ageism. He has the
Yo,
stats
that
about hiring in the industry. I think if you're over 50, like it's 5 or 6 times more
over
difficult
over
to
50.
get hired,
Over 50.
or 60
Brother,
maybe. Yeah.
dude, I know people that don't hire past 35. And you
Mhm.
know the reason why? It's because they can take advantage of young, vulnerable kids that come out of college that they will lick anybody's boot because oh my god, I'm making games. Making games is a privilege. It's work. Yeah, you're doing what you like, but at the end, it's not a privilege because you're doing a service for somebody else that is reaping the rewards.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, and all of a sudden, and okay, I gotta watch myself what I say because almost slip in one of my sources. Um, no, I know about a major AAA title in production that management went. All of those people out. They were all the higher pay, amazing people, the best. I'm not lying when I tell you those people they knew their stuff, and they started getting interns. They got people right out of college, and then the people that were left were charged to, hey, you gotta onboard that person. Oh, hey, you gotta teach them. And are you paying me to be a teacher or are you paying me to be a developer? What exactly is happening? Are you expecting me to do all of this? It's the level of hypocrisy and lies that Elon Musk goes, you gotta work 24 hours. Like, dude, you don't work 24 hours. You're tweeting 8 hours a day and just complaining about stuff. No millionaire, no executive works 8 hours a day. Jeff Bezos wakes up at 10 a.m. in the morning and he finished at 6. I want somebody to tell me right now a job that they can do that chilling because he needs his morning meditation, coffee, and rest while his workers are peeing in bottles while delivering packages. That's not fair. Forget socialism, forget capitalism, forget all that division. That's not fair, and that's being human. That's being mistreated. And if you cannot realize that, I don't know what to tell you because you probably experienced it or you have people in your family that have gone through it, that have lived it. My dad, my uncle, my grandfather, and my brothers were all Teamsters. At one point, my dad was a union leader. And the best job he got is when he was with the Teamsters, when he was in the union. And when they destroyed that in Puerto Rico, he lost everything. He lost everything. he gave up the truck. He gave up everything because he found himself that taking cargo from point A to point B was costing him more money than what he was making. And if he wanted to defend himself, he had to hire a representative like a lawyer for a blue collar dude that is paying off a mortgage that has 5 kids. That's not possible. I don't understand what people don't get about this. Sorry, I'm sorry.
No,
I
it's
get I
all
get
real.
you know what I mean. I'm
Raman joined in and said humans don't get good enough at facial recognition to tell if someone is lying to them until they're 35 plus. So
that
to
is
back up what you
right.
said, that's why it's so important that they
Oh
hire
wow.
younger. I remember my first job after I graduated from college. I was working. I started an internship at a tech company writing software, and their business model was kind of designed around only hiring interns. So I had been there like a year and a half, 2 years, graduated, was still working there. And one of my friends and colleague at the time was also graduated working there. And both of us got laid off because they wanted to hire more folks in as interns because we were making too much money. And I'm talking the difference between like $7 an hour and when I was laid off, I was making $10 an hour. Like it, they wanted to exploit that opportunity to get talent without paying for talent. And so I know exactly what you're talking about because I experienced it firsthand.
I have an example that I want to share because it's very public, and if you're in the game industry, you probably know about this. During the development of the last Battlefield game, it was a big failure for EA. It cost them millions of dollars. They were expecting to sell more than 27 million copies. They didn't reach that. The game barely run. The game was one of the worst when it released that year. And one of the main things is that internally they were using Frostbite engine. It's an engine that was written by DICE. What happened? Those people got laid off. So they used the same engine for this battlefield. And all of a sudden, we don't know how this works. What's happening? I can't figure it out. Where's the person that wrote this? Laid off.
Yeah,
Probably working at Epic. That's
right.
one of the major reasons why a lot of developers are switching to more universal engines because they know that they're getting burnouts. It's a factory, some mill, it's a mill, like one after another, one after another. If you ever, if you thought why we're not using more proprietary technology, that's a big thing because proprietary technology, yeah, I don't have to pay royalties, I don't have to pay any IPs. That's amazing. But if I don't have documentation and I lose you or I have a disagreement and I fire you, I'm left with a piece of technology that cost me millions of dollars that I can not even boot up.
Right. Yeah, it's a single point of failure.
And who made the call? Somebody that was probably working in a venture capitalist that saw the cap, that saw the pay gap, and who's getting paid more, who's getting paid less. Ah, yeah, we can cut that.
Spreadsheet decision, right?
Dude, I seen that. I've been there, and like next to me, and it was so jarring that I got out of there. I'm like, okay, sorry, excuse me, I got because it was really jarring. And if you go to my LinkedIn, I got a cluster of different roles that I had in my life, and I got roles that I haven't even put there because the experiences that I had in those companies were so bad that I fear retaliation to a certain level. Um, Another great example, Rooster Teeth. Rooster Teeth was a
T in
game
Texas.
company in Austin, Texas. God bless
Yep.
Texas. God bless
Yep.
Austin. Lived there 7 years. I love my peeps. But that was a company that went from animation machinima to making games, but the people
Yep.
that they hired were right out of UT. So there was a lot of problems. Everybody was getting their bearings. I even went there. I'm like, well, let me see. And when I saw everything that was happening, I'm like, okay, so how's the pay? We cannot pay you. You need to start as an intern. But I already have a bachelor's. I'm
Mhm.
not looking. I Dude, I just lost my house in a hurricane. I'm living in the couch of one of my best friends that lives here in Austin. I don't have even a car. I'm taking a bus. Public transportation in the United States sucks. And I took that to come over here. And you're telling me I gotta do an internship, and at the end of the internship, you can just get rid of me. And there's no repercussion. I gave you my soul. I gave everything because if you hire me, I want to do the best job that I can. I'm still in this line. I'm still in this line. It's not mine, it's from extra credit. Nobody wants to make a bad game. Nobody. You don't get into this industry to make a crappy product. I'm the type of person that if you put me in Barbie Dreamland Castle 4 for the Switch, I'm going to do my best job because it's my name attached to it. We're very proud individuals. We're very creative individuals. My side's mostly production because I couldn't be hired as an artist. But I still care about my fellow work. I still care about the project. I still love game development and I want everybody to succeed.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. I've seen on LinkedIn a conversation. I forget who made the post talking about not doing test assignments because that's also exploitable.
Yeah.
Folks having to do the just basically getting assigned project work for the company as a test to see, and if they don't end up getting hired, then they've lost the IP or sign away the rights to what they have created.
Naughty Dog, I don't know now. Naughty Dog used to be at that one point. Naughty Dog, whatever. I'm just saying. I already said the name. No, because I'm a big believer that sometimes an art test is fine. Hey man, just give him a small project that he can do. Like, hey, you see this tiki that I got here? Can you model it? Can you texture it? Or hey, can you just make a quick animation with a water shader? Just something simple. But when all of a sudden you're giving me like bullet points after bullet point after bullet point after bullet point, it's like, whoa, I'm not doing an art test at that point. And I want to say they have improved, specifically Naughty Dog, because that's way back in the day when I was starting. And I want to say they have improved from what I know about them currently. But that doesn't mean that it's still not happening. It happens constant, it's very common. You know how many interviews I go, oh, thank you for your time, as soon as they tell me that? No, but what? It's like, yeah, it's going to take me.
Yes, it's not going to work out.
But just looking at the project, I'm like, 3 weeks. And it doesn't matter if I sit down and I explain week 1, week 2, week 3, and I give them every single step. I can't do this. Look, you're literally assigning me work like I was in the company.
Right.
You can't do this. I don't know. I can hire you. Then don't hire me. I'm sorry. Thank you. I'm old. I got to 30. I'm going to 35, and I can't play that game. Like who knows if I'm gonna end up in a wheelchair or off, disabled in the long run. I can't entertain that idea anymore.
You can't gamble your time like that.
And it pains me that younger, more talented people than me are giving themselves up just for an opportunity, and they're all being taken advantage of because they have no representation. They got nobody that can defend them. There's nobody that can speak for them, or that even wants to speak for them because they're putting themselves in jeopardy inside the company. That's where unions come in. That's where I really truly believe unionizing is the best way forward. And I'm gonna shoot down something because I know it's gonna come up, and I'm gonna say it before. Every union is not perfect. It's a system that we have. It's something that we have used historically as a tool to fight corporations. The United States of America hasn't given you any rights, or a corporation hasn't given you any right of their hearts. I want everybody to know that if you didn't know this, if you love the weekend, it was given to you by a union. You like 7 days a week, 8 hours? Union. Maternity leave, union. Healthcare negotiation, union. All those things that you take for granted because they have been there forever since you were born.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? They were all because of unions. And
I didn't
when
know that.
people tell me, no, I just go like, dude, I got like 10 books right there that I can just loan you right now in American history, specifically unionization, capitalism, socialism, whatever you want, dude. I got you. I'm a big book collector. Like, I'll buy you the audiobook. I gone that far. I just want people to be open to reading and learning and educating themselves. Because, brother, I don't gotta say this. You can see it. I'm Hispanic and Latino. You're also a minority. You know how many times we have to educate people on all this stuff? It gets tiresome. I get tired. Y'all gotta pick up your slack. You know, I want to help you, but if you don't go there and you don't pick up a book, how am I gonna be help you? Because, dude, I'm trying to give you healthcare and you're rejecting that. How do you expect me to react? How do you expect me to see you?
Yeah, yeah.
Huh?
So I think
Sorry.
you started. No, you're right. You're right. We can't do all the heavy lifting, right? Everybody has to do some lifting on their own, and it takes it. That's what it's going to take for us to get to, I think, a more stable place in the ecosystem. I think it's fair to say that the gaming industry got a little too aggressive with its hiring after
Yes.
COVID.
Yes.
I, and it's hard to it's easy to say in hindsight actually that there was no way that we were going to be in lockdown 24/7.
And this is the kicker, has the income gross gone down? Oh, it has gone up.
Uh,
It has gone up. We have companies like EA that year after year post pandemic, you see a 30% increase in growth.
mm,
We're not talking that they're not making money. They're still making money. Microsoft just raised the price on the Xbox.
that's true. They're going to
Nintendo
make
will
more money.
probably, yeah, Nintendo will probably. Do you think that money's gonna go to the workers? No, it's gonna go back to buying stock to inflate their value, so that way they can play the system. And I'm tired of people telling me that. Like, no, no offense, sorry, not you, not you.
No, no, no. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm just saying, like, I'm
You're
just tired
preaching.
of people.
Go.
Oh yeah, we overhire. It's like, yeah, you overhire, but you got a bunch of products, and your revenue went off, and every year keeps climbing.
Mm,
2019, you're here. 2020, you're here. I went a little bit down. Then I went up. Dude, look at where I'm at from 2019. That's still growth. It's
that's
just
growth.
that it's
Still
not
growth.
enough growth for
It's
you because
not
you have
enough.
a standard that, oh, I gotta reach this. And a lot of CEOs do this. Why? Because they have bonuses attached to them. Are you
Right.
kidding me? Look at David Zaslav from Warner Brothers. More than $25 million in bonuses, and he canceled Batgirl. He almost destroyed what's it called, Coyote versus Acme. Great movie. I got to see it through a connection. Like, y'all
Yeah. Did
gotta.
you?
I'm not gonna. Yeah, like, dude, like, trust me when I tell
I
you
have
that
to. I have to see it. I'll see if I can find it. Yeah. Yeah.
dude, Warner Brothers is like, I'm expecting any day for the revolution to come from there,
Yeah.
because the level of contempt, both in the gaming side and the movie side, those people have for Sasla. And they're just waiting. They're like, keep going, keep going. That dude got there because of nepotism. You know what's his greatest success? He drove the stock to $2 at one point. You that you're watching me right now, what happened today with Max? It's not called Max anymore. It's called HBO Max again. Why?
HBO Max.
He destroyed years of established IP brand recognition because he wanted to make it his own. That's not business. That's not strategy. That's ego.
Ego.
Are you going to really tell me with a straight face that unions are not gonna? No, because at the end of the day, you think that person wants you in the table negotiating? That person doesn't give a rat ass about you. He was hosting a banquet while there was a writer strike. And that gala cost millions of dollars that could have gone to the workers, that could have gone to solve that problem, to accelerate the projects. If you truly care about the company, you care about the product. You take care of your employees, you take care of your customers, you're gonna have growth. There's no such thing as infinite growth, but you try,
Yeah.
right? You always try because it's the whole thing. You're trying, to do better. And I get that completely. But they're not trying to do better. They're not trying to give you a better product. In fact, they're giving you a shitty ass product for a higher price, and you're paying for it. And you're saying, yes, I want this. Like, people can right now write me a list of every single game that wasn't working on launch. It wasn't the fault of developers. Executive said it needs to launch because it needs to meet the quota. It needs to be here because this is the plan, and I don't care.
Yeah.
Cool, we do it. We do what we're told. We don't make those decisions. And they come over here, they tell us that we do it, and then we're the bad guys because then we receive the whole social media hate. Then we receive the harassment. While Sasla is on a jet partying, I don't know, in Europe or some stuff. You know what I mean? He's over there. He's not getting any of this. He doesn't care. He has private security. Bro, you want your games to work? You want your games to be a good price? Then join us. We're all in the same battle. Don't fight me. If you don't agree, I'm only asking you two things. I was gonna say one, but I suggested.
It's just two. It's two.
Okay. You don't believe in unions, you don't believe in unionizing, I respect that. Even after this conversation, I can't change your mind. It is what it is, because some people, you can't really do that. And I understand it. But I beg you to educate yourself. And I'm not talking about writing a prompt in ChatGPT. I'm not talking about just going to Wikipedia, Facebook, or even talking to other developers, because a lot of developers don't have this knowledge. Go directly to economists. Go directly to people like Sam Cedar in the Majority Report, somebody that I think is brilliant, that really breaks down everything economically, and like, and he makes it easy to learn. Like there's so much out there to help you, but it needs to come from you. And also, you also don't want to do that? That's fine. I respect it. I cannot change that. I can only influence and I can only educate. It's your job to decide, but don't get in my way. Don't sabotage me. And don't tell me, oh, it's a bad idea. That's awful. Because, sorry, it might be a little bit too insulting to people, but since I got into this industry in 2012, that's always been it. And when I tell people, all right, cool. Okay, so if it doesn't work, why are they spending billions of dollars in union busting? Nobody can answer me that question. Nobody.
Yeah.
Automatically, they switch the topic or they move the goalpost because that's the most simple rationale. Damn. Sorry.
It's all right. It's all right. No, good conversation.
Yo, I didn't get any sleep, man. And I'm still. Let's go.
Yeah. No. It's fire. It's fire, man. I appreciate you being a part of this conversation, starting that conversation in your platform, right? Inviting me to be part of your platform, sharing that with everybody here.
Me? Thank you.
That's what it's gonna take. Everybody can't make it to LA for the Games Beat Summit, right? But we can all use our voice to advocate for what's important. And you're right. It's not one studio versus another. Like, we're all working in this industry. It might be the employees versus the upper tier management, but maybe that's a different story. What we need, and it shouldn't be that either. What it should be is that upper management should appreciate the value and the contributions from the employees, and their bonuses should be tied to the success of the team. That's what needs to happen. Is the bonuses need to be tied to the success of the team, so they have an incentive to keep employees and continue to investing in professional development. That I don't have the next answer. How do we get there? But that seems like it makes sense to me.
You got me all giddy. You know why? What's the last team AAA that started unionizing? Bethesda. Bethesda understands this. Bethesda is a great example. Say what you want about Bethesda. I know it's not perfect. It's a studio like any other. Let's be real.
Yeah.
But besides that, upper management, they might not be part of the union. Well, I'm not saying that, but they don't union bus. The fact that there's people in Bethesda that are not willing to go with what Microsoft is saying and union bus, that's a huge move. I thought I was gonna die before I saw that, to be honest. I
Good.
seriously thought I was gonna die before I saw this. Yes, yes, dude. Like there's so much. It's so sad because there's so much mystery attached to this industry. And some days I just wake up. I'm like, man, it would be easy if I go back to like, let's say, banking or programming something.
Mm.
You know, because you know, I'm not happy. I don't have a job. You know, sometimes I cry. I had an interview in November of 2023, and I might cry about this. I moved to Seattle because there was a company that I really love, and they gave me the opportunity to interview. I lost my younger brother when that happened. I had to fly to Puerto Rico with my family. I didn't have a penny to help in the funeral or in the burial. My dad and my brother had to take care of all the needs of the youngest that just died. And I had to tell them I feel shame because I don't have anything. Because my wife right now is keeping me afloat, and I don't dare to ask her, "Hey, can you help me with my brother's funeral?"
Sorry to hear that.
Like, like this is not a game, dude. This is it's not a game. This is not hypothetical. This is currently happening, and we're suffering. And there's not gonna be a game industry. There's not gonna be an industry in general if this keeps happening. Nobody's gonna want to work here. And they're at the end of the day, they're look at EA, look at David Sadler again. Looking at AI to replace workers when they say they're not gonna replace workers, but then in closed meetings and emails leak, we want to get rid of our 50% of our labor force for AI. Guys, can you truly tell me you can develop a game with AI? Yeah. A good game? No. But it doesn't matter to them because it's not about the quality. They don't care about the quality. They're just there to make a deadline and to make a profit. Is
Yeah.
that the game industry that you want?
And that's what it comes down
Apologies.
to, right?
I
Like
got
what
I
do
got
we?
emotional. Sorry.
No, no,
It's the
it's all right. It's all right.
it's the
It's important.
it's the most human example that I have faced recently because it's the one that shook me enough where it shook me so much that I'm like, I don't care. I need to say something. I don't care. It is that was the moment that the fear of being rejected or being passed on a company on a role, it didn't matter. Like, and I said it yesterday, like, yeah, dude, because believe it or not, there's a blacklist. You know, you get
Yeah,
blacklisted in this industry because you spoke up for your fellow workers. You think it doesn't happen?
it happens for
They
sure.
put you in a blacklist. And you know what happened to the person that put you in the blacklist? They also get laid off.
Yeah, yeah. Ramen said, and I've
Sorry.
started to do this too. Unfortunately, I love playing video games. I have my entire life, and
Same.
it's been a privilege and an honor to work in the space. But even I have gotten to the point where I don't know if I tell people not to get into gaming anymore, but I level set with them. Like I was actually speaking with a student who is in, was it Poland? somewhere in Europe earlier days, working on his bachelor's degree and writing a dissertation about esports. I have gotten
Oh my
blacklisted.
God.
I am blacklisted in the esports space because I've done what you said, kind of advocated for sustainability. But I wanted
Don't
to
don't
empower this kid so that he didn't make the mistake of going all into this space, not understanding what he's getting into. So I never say don't get into the space, but I make sure whoever I speak to understands what the reality is of the gaming and esports industry before they make the decision, so they're empowered to make the best decision for them.
I had like I'm not a big esport person. I was at one point in my life, but like I I just don't have the capacity to go like that anymore, sadly. Like it's just dude, it's like I can't control that. I'm sorry, y'all. Um, but I respect it. And you know who Moist Critical is, correct? You have to.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, regardless of whatever he said, regardless of everything else, Charlie's been a pretty cool, normal dude.
Mm,
I reached out to him as soon as I heard that his team couldn't come to the United States to compete in Apex Legend. Why was the reason? Vice based. Because the person doing everything customs, the person that was going to give them the visa so they can participate over here, didn't like the team name.
mm.
Is that just? No. Charlie had to let all of them go, and they had to go to other teams.
Wow.
Yeah, you want to talk? You want to talk about industry that really abuses you? Yeah, we can talk about esport any day of the week. Oof.
Yeah.
And like it's in your name.
Yeah,
I know you
yeah,
know
yeah,
this.
yeah. It's got some growth opportunities for sure, for sure.
Oh yeah, if
Yeah,
people,
yeah,
I almost said something. I almost said something like
yeah. No, no.
too spicy, too
It's
spicy, too spicy.
and again, again, you mentioned, even in that post that you recognize there's a chance that you speaking up could get you blacklisted, and I've experienced that here in esports space, but it still needs that conversation needs to happen
Yeah.
regardless, right? Because it's for the better good of the ecosystem as a whole. So I want to say thank you for your time. Um, Thank you for your courage. And if there's anything I can do to help, please let me know.
Nah, dude,
Um,
just
this has been
if you
awesome.
have, if any, okay, to anybody that's watching this, because I don't know who's watching. I don't have the chat or anything. Listen, I'm in LinkedIn. If you want to talk to me, just reach out. I might tell you, hey, I can't talk because I haven't slept in more than in more than 24 hours. But I'm more than down to talk to you. While I'm not down to debate this because debate doesn't change people's mind. People come to this with biases of years and years of propaganda that is being taught and is being shoved in your brains by the American government ever since the Reagan era. That was the first time we started seeing a big push against unions, where the government was opposing it big time.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Ramen saying that the bottom of that says that you can't see it here, but he says that he got blacklisted by the ESA, so the Entertainment Software Association, which is major because for those of you who don't know, that's
Mhm.
the nation's largest kind of lobbying body for the gaming industry here in the U.S. So a blacklist there is significant.
Damn. I I don't know what to say because guys, that's look at my reaction. That's not something that you can say. Damn, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's all of the
That,
largest game developers and publishers in the U.S. are all members of the ESA. That's significant.
but
So
to end it in a happy note,
yeah,
it doesn't need to be this way. It can
that's true.
change if we come together. Because to quote Game of Thrones like a very autistic person, what's stronger, five fingers or the complete hand? Hand, one. One singular hand, one fist. The reason why they behave the way that they behave is because they want division. As long as we're divided, this is not going to change. But I promise you, I promise you, as soon as you start talking with your coworker, as soon as you start organizing, as soon as you start asking questions or trying to look for information, companies panic, and that's your first sign that you're in the right path. If they really truly didn't care, if they were like you're insignificant, they would let you be.
Right.
But you have the tools. And historically, the only way that the worker has gone head to head with a major corporation has been through unions.
Right.
And we can't change this. This is, doesn't need to be this way. We don't need to suffer. And that's, I think, the most anxious thing that I tell people, that I know it doesn't have to be this way. Like, look at other unions, like the gaming industry in France. Look at that model. Look at them. Look at the Writers Guild. Look at the Actors Guild. Look at Ayatse.
Yeah.
For the love of God, Sesame Street unionized today. Guys, if
Yeah.
the count is telling me a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, unionize. Guys, what's happening? And always
It's
remember,
time.
I'm gonna be there for you. I'm gonna be there for you. I'm gonna be next to you. You
Yeah.
know, that's who I am, and that's how I was raised and I was taught. Like, I'm. There's no way I can see somebody struggling and not give them a helping hand. I'll die before that ever happens, and I'll say that very, very clearly.
We appreciate everything you're doing for the industry, man. Keep up the great work. Thank you, everybody, for jumping in on the conversation. All of your perspectives, your thoughts, your questions. Carlos, like I said, is an open book. So if you have some more you want to share with him, or you want to share with me, that I can get that to him, please do that. We appreciate you all tuning in and supporting the podcast. We want to have the important conversations, even if they're not popular, even if they may be uncomfortable conversations for the gaming industry, they need to happen. So we appreciate you supporting us, supporting the industry. Y'all have a great night, and hopefully we'll see you again next Thursday. If you are at Games Beat Summit, I would encourage you to encourage them to find some time to continue this conversation. And if not, then you're always welcome back here. We'll continue the conversation too. So thanks for your time. We'll see you again soon. Peace.
Take care, y'all.